I used to hate red lights. Every morning, driving the same route to my marketing job downtown, I'd grip the steering wheel tighter each time I saw yellow turn to red. Another delay. Another minute stolen from my already packed schedule. I'd drum my fingers on the dashboard, check my phone, calculate how many lights I'd need to hit green to make up the lost time. The intersection at 5th and Main was the worst. It's one of those long lights that seems designed to test your patience, with a full 90 seconds between cycles. I'd sit there watching the crosswalk timer count down, 87, 86, 85, feeling my stress level rise with each passing second. That was 6 months ago, before everything changed. Before I learned to see red lights differently, the shift started on a particularly brutal Tuesday in March. I was running late for a client presentation, the kind that could make or break a quarterly review. My alarm hadn't gone off, my coffee maker had decided to leak all over the counter, and now I was sitting at 5th and Main, watching that familiar red circle mock me from above, but instead of reaching for my phone or honking at nothing, I found myself just sitting. Maybe I was too tired to be angry. Maybe I'd finally reached some kind of breaking point with my own chronic rushing. Whatever it was, I let my hands relax on the wheel and took a deep breath. That's when I noticed the light itself. Not the color, I'd been glaring at that red glow for months, but the light as an object. The way it hung there against the morning sky, perfectly round, quietly doing its job. How many thousands of times had this same light stopped traffic at this exact spot? How many people had sat where I was sitting, in their own hurried worlds, their own urgent mornings? The crosswalk signal started its countdown. 67, 66, 65. But instead of feeling frustrated, I felt something unexpected, curious. What if, instead of fighting these 90 seconds, I used them? I closed my eyes, just for a moment, I told myself, and tried to focus on my breathing. In through my nose, out through my mouth. The sound of idling engines around me became a kind of mechanical lullaby. Someone's radio played softly in the car next to mine. A bird called from somewhere above the traffic. When I opened my eyes, the light was green. I drove the rest of the way to work in a strange calm I hadn't felt in months. The presentation went well, better than well, actually. I found myself more focused, more present, less scattered by the usual workplace anxieties. The next morning, I found myself actually looking forward to 5th and Main, this time, when the light turned red. I was ready. I settled back in my seat, put my hands loosely on the wheel, and began what I started thinking of as my traffic light meditation. 90 seconds of enforced stillness in a world that rarely stops moving. I began to develop a routine. First, 3 deep breaths to settle in. Then, I'd look around, really look, at the world outside my windshield. The way morning light hit the office building on the corner. The purposeful stride of pedestrians crossing in front of me. The small garden someone had planted in the narrow strip between the sidewalk and the street. By the second week, I was noticing things I'd driven past for 2 years without seeing. Like how the woman in the blue Honda always checked her lipstick in the rearview mirror at this light. How the construction worker in the pickup truck used these moments to write in what looked like a journal. How the teenager in the red sedan practiced what were clearly vocal exercises, her mouth moving in exaggerated shapes I could see in her reflection. We were all trapped here together for 90 seconds, all of us creating our own ways of making peace with the pause. The meditation began to change me in ways I hadn't expected. I started leaving for work 5 minutes earlier, not because I needed the time, but because I wanted it. I began to appreciate other delays, slow elevators, long grocery store lines, even hold music on customer service calls, as opportunities rather than obstacles. But the real transformation happened on a Thursday in April. I was sitting at my usual red light, deep in my morning meditation, when I heard shouting. A man had gotten out of his car 2 vehicles ahead and was yelling at the driver in front of him about something, a perceived slight, a moment of bad driving, the kind of road rage that flares up and usually fades just as quickly. 6 months ago, I would have watched this drama unfold while mentally composing angry thoughts about both drivers, letting their stress become my stress. Instead, I found myself sending them both a quiet wish for peace. Not in any formal, religious way, just a simple hope that whatever was driving their anger might ease, that they might find their way back to calm. the light turned green. The angry man got back in his car. Traffic resumed its normal flow. But something had shifted in me during those 90 seconds, something about recognizing that we're all carrying invisible burdens, all dealing with our own versions of running late and spilled coffee and presentations that matter too much. Now, 5 months later, I've become something I never thought I'd be: grateful for red lights, not just at 5th and Main, though that intersection remains my favorite. Every red light has become an invitation to pause, to breathe, to notice what's happening in the world around me and inside me. Some days I practice breathing exercises. Other days I listen to the sounds of the city. Sometimes I just sit in appreciative silence, marveling at this strange modern ritual where dozens of strangers agree to stop simultaneously, wait together, then continue on our separate ways. Yesterday, I caught the eye of the woman in the blue Honda in my rearview mirror. She was doing something that looked remarkably like meditation herself, eyes closed, hands relaxed, a small smile on her face. When the light changed and we both pulled forward, she gave me a little wave, as if acknowledging our shared secret. Maybe she discovered what I had, that the spaces between movement can be just as important as the movement itself. That forced pauses aren't punishments, they're gifts. That sometimes the world stops us not to delay our journey, but to remind us that the journey includes the stopping. This morning, approaching 5th and Main, I saw the light turn yellow in the distance. For the first time in 6 months, I hoped it would turn red before I got there. It did, and for 90 perfect seconds, I sat still in a moving world, breathing deeply, grateful for the pause.